Thank you, guys, and thank you, Mario, for having me, especially on really short notice. I think I'm a little too short for this. Okay. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about chasing your passion, finding out what that is. We've had a lot of great speakers kind of go through where they ended up, but it's really important to figure out how we got there. So I have a confession to make. That is, I'm a travel addict. So I've been to all 7 continents, 36 countries, and I basically am on a plane every 2 weeks. So one of the things that should have hit you is, why weren't you doing this from the beginning? Well, I was working at a corporate job and at American Express, and it was really great, but I just knew that there was something missing. So today I run a company called G-Trot. It's a social travel company. Basically what we do is we take all this really great social data that's being created through Facebook and Foursquare, and we turn it into really usable data. So you get to meet up with friends, you get smart recommendations, you get really great advice. So every day I wake up and I think about travel, and I love it. I can't get enough of it, but this was definitely not the case 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, as I said, I don't know if this is working very well. I worked at American Express, great job. I got 3 weeks of vacation a year. I got paid a lot of money. I got a raise. I got promotions. But I just had this feeling that this wasn't for me. This wasn't what I wanted to be doing all these times. So I started planning. I started taking that salary, putting it away, using those free weekends, those free days off to start exploring about what I might want to do. Because I think one of the big important things is, if you have this feeling and you don't know what you want to do, at least start planning ahead for the important things like money. So if you're going to go without a salary for a couple months, it's really nice to have, some dollars in the bank when you're working for somebody else. So after I started planning, I thought, okay, well, how am I going to know what I want to do? I like fashion, I like travel, I like green tech, I like science, I like celebrity news. There's a million different things that I could possibly see myself doing, but how do I know which one to chase after? So I heard about this little tool. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called Twitter. And what I found with Twitter is that it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of content. So if I want to know, what's top in fashion, I can follow someone. If I want to know what's going on in sports, I can follow someone. So basically, I took Twitter and opened up this smorgasbord of options. So I started following anything that I had interest in. Well, you quickly realize that there's no way you can read everything once you get up to 200, 300, 400, 500 people. So then I started unfollowing. Any article that I kind of didn't click through, if there was all these great posts about fashion, but I just didn't really care enough because I would rather spend that time reading something else, I got a very clear vision of what kind of themes I kept seeing. And those themes were technology, green tech and computer technology, film, and travel. Those are the things. So I started weeding out the feed and kind of narrowing it down to a smaller, more manageable funnel. I don't think this is working, but okay. So the next thing to do after I figured out these are my top things is to test drive. So it's kind of one of those, all right, well, I'm going to start a green blog. I'm going to start a blog about technology, and I'm going to start a blog about film. Now, this goes back to the theory of there's not enough time in the day to do all these things, so it became very clear which ones I really liked writing about. So 2 things about, faking it till you make it, test driving, is that 1, no one's going to read your blog. So don't be afraid to put something out there, get a Tumblr account, make it really super easy, super simple, and just start generating content. If your mom has the internet, she might not even read your blog. That's what I quickly learned, which is great, because you shouldn't be afraid to take that first step. If you're serious about making a change in your life, you have to kind of put in that time and energy and get out there. So I did that. I realized no one read my blog, which was great because it wasn't very good. And I also realized that one of the biggest confidence boosters is getting business cards made. So I got Green Girl Geek business cards made for my blog. And I would go to these green events, and I'd walk in, and I'd say, yes, I work with green companies, and I help market and solicit them using social media. Of course, I could do all these things if anyone, actually needed the services, but I didn't have a company. I didn't have, I was working full-time at American Express. I would be able to take it on, but it was kind of a lot of fing it till I make it. I actually got a job that way working for a solar company. I did their marketing for them. It was a great relationship, but at the end of the day, I just didn't care enough. I knew right away after taking on that project that this is not something I want to do. I also got a job. I pitched elance.com to send me to South by Southwest, one of the biggest tech conferences. I knew I liked tech. I wanted to go. I wanted to meet with all these people I'd been following on Twitter in all different industries. So I made 4 different business cards. One was a blogger, one was a filmmaker, one was a marketer, one was a world traveler. And literally I would start a conversation, and by the end when someone would ask for my card, I would just pull out the one that most was relevant to what they were talking about. So kind of tricky, I know, but at the end of the day, I knew I could deliver on all those sort of promises if it worked out. What was great is that I started talking to all these people, and I quickly realized this was where I belonged. I was reading, hundreds of articles in the months prior about technology and new companies, along with green tech and along with film, and I just met all these people, and I just related to them. And I was like, this is where I belong, this is what I love, I could spend the rest of my life talking about these things. So I get on the plane back to New York after being in Austin, and I write up a business plan. It's actually in this book right here. Very simple, just text notes, what I want to do. This is what it's going to be. This is going to be my company. I love travel. I love technology. Putting them together and making it happen. Perfect, right? Done. Not exactly. So I did what any rational person does when they have a great idea, and I went to Google. And I started typing in travel companies, social travel companies, Facebook travel companies. I spent a couple hours there. I found this great resource called startuply.com, and basically what they do is they categorize all the startups across the country. And there's over 200 travel startups on there. I went through each and every website. Some of them worked, some of them were real, some of them didn't work, signed up, got all the email confirmations. I still get emails from companies I don't remember signing up for. But I just really wanted to see what's out there, and maybe if someone has the same idea, I can join up with them, or maybe I can say, no one else is doing this, I should be doing this. So I went through about 150 that were kind of close. I narrowed it down to 20 from there. I sent emails to all of those, sort of, introductory emails just saying hey, I checked out your website, there's something broken here, or, I really loved how you did this. One of the greatest ways to get attention from people is by talking about their product. They're clearly passionate about it, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. So going with something constructive to say to them, whether it's good, bad, or whatever, is a great way to open the door. So I talked to about 20 different companies, had coffee with a couple of them that were in New York, and one of them stuck out in particular, which was with this guy, Zach. He was a Harvard grad. He had started this really, elementary site called G-Trot. What was supposed to be a 30-minute coffee conversation turned into a 3-hour business planning session of this is where we can take this idea, and this is where I see it going. Let's do it. Now, I really lucked out. The working relationship has been great. Zach was actually working full-time when I started, and I said, I'm going to run the business full-time. You can stay with your full-time job and just do it on the side with me, and then once we raise money, we'll do it together. So we raised money this past January. We have 5 employees now. We're growing. We're really building it out, so it's been really, really wonderful. Now, when I tell most people this, how I found my co-founder, they're like, wow, that's so lucky, that's so awesome, you guys just met and it worked out. Well, there's 199 companies that didn't work out, And had there been 600 companies on there, there would have been maybe 599 that didn't work out. You know, it's very much about pushing through and just saying, like, this is what I want. I'm going to chase it as hard as possible. Because if I don't do this, I'm going to keep having that little sinking feeling of there's something I should be working on, and I'm not doing it yet. So what I would advise everyone here is, you know, if you have that feeling, you owe it to yourself to explore it and plan ahead. You know, the more money you have in the bank, the more freedom that gives you. The more months you can go without taking a salary, the more, you know, cool product features you can build on top of it when you do have the opportunity. The second thing is, you know, really get out there and drink from the fire hose. Just get as much information as possible, and then, you know, filter it down, find what interests you, start testing it, start talking to people about it. Your good friends, you know. How many conversations my friends had to listen to about green energy and fashion and film. You know, luckily they forgive me, but they're like, wait, weren't you going to do a film thing, and now you're doing a fashion thing, or what is it? You can't be afraid of being embarrassed and being wrong, because you'll never be right if you just sort of say, I'll stay in these kind of parameters. So filter, test drive, don't be afraid of failure. You know, slap up a blog, get up there, start actually cranking stuff out, because no one's going to read it in the beginning anyway. So once people do start reading it, you'll have some good content you can sort of use and build off of from there. And then the fourth one is just go after it. You know, don't be afraid to fail and kind of repeatedly get these no's and these wrong answers, because eventually you'll get there. And then every day you'll wake up and you'll love what you do, and you'll be invited by Mario to come and talk to you great people. So thank you guys so much for listening. Yeah, find me on Twitter if you have questions or whatever.